Algebra 2, lesson 110, quadratic inequalities greater than. So we're going to be doing some more graphing on number lines. Whoops, really out of focus here. Using quadratic inequalities. So that's inequalities that have an x squared term. So let's get started. I just bumped my microphone, I think. Oops. Okay, hold on. Let me pause. I got to fix some. Okay, camera's all better. Got a practice problem. Believe I was just telling you guys about we're going to graph quadratic inequalities on an underlying quadratics, meaning x2, x1, x none terms. Right, so let's get started. We have an inequality and we need to graph this. So naturally we want to solve for x. Since this is a quadratic, we want to try to use a factoring method to solve, and then we can also use zero factor theorem to solve. So I'm going to go ahead and start setting up two sets of parentheses to factor this quadratic. I know it's going to be x and x. The last term being a negative means the signs are going to be opposites. And then I factor the number 6, 1 and 6, and then 2 and 3. Figure out which ones add up to -1. That's going to be 2 and 3. So 3 is going to be negative, 2 is going to be positive. I've successfully factored this inequality. So now it's x plus 2, x minus 3 is greater than 0, and the domain is reals. So what we do now is we look at our values for x, and I want to solve this one. So if I was to solve x plus 2, it would end up becoming -2. So the values are -2, or here we see +3. Okay. So then we're going to draw our number line. Got 0, and then I'm going to have a point at -2, and then I'm going to have a point at +3. I know both these points are going to be open points because they are not equal to, they're just greater than. Now the last thing, which can be the hard thing to remember on these quadratics, and that's why they're split up in two separate lessons, is that because this inequality is greater than, since the unknowns are on the greater than side of the inequality, then this is going to form a disjunction. So if you remember, a disjunction means that for my 2 points, my arrows are going to go away from each other. Okay? So and then later we'll figure out what to do when they say less than in another lesson. But every time we have a quadratic inequality and it is a greater than symbol, then we have a disjunction, which means you solve the inequality for your x values. Those are your 2 points. And then from your 2 points, you draw arrows going away from each other every single time that it is a greater than equation. Right? And it's that easy. So we'll go ahead and do another example. Let's see here. Let's do, oh, this is a good one. It's got integers and it's out of order. All right, so let's say we've got x squared minus 2x is greater than and equal to +3, and the domain is integers. Okay. So let's first get this quadratic equal to 0, so I'm going to subtract 3 from each side. That's going to cancel, so then I have x squared minus 2x minus 3 is greater than and equal to 0. From there I can start factoring. So I'm going to have x and x. Last sign is a negative, so opposite signs. And then 3 can only factor into 1 and 3. So 1 and 3, 3 has to be negative, 1 has to be positive, so they'll add up to -2, and that is greater than and equal to 0. All right. Now let's draw our number line, and then we'll solve for our values of x. So here x is going to be -1 or +3 because zero factor theorem uses the opposite sides. So I've got one spot at -1, right? And then it's going to be a closed dot because it's an equal to symbol. So closed dot at -1, and then a closed dot at +3. And then again, because this is a greater than inequality, it is going to form a disjunction, which means the arrows will go away from each other. All right. And that's it. That's all there is to this lesson. If you guys have any questions, let me know on Moodle, and I will see you in class.